Okay, I know we've got quite a lot of global turnout today, so I'll just give it a couple of minutes to make sure everyone can join. Right, we'll crack on. Just a note for all those who obviously are unable to make it here or a bit late, we'll obviously circulate the webinar recording afterwards. We're finished for everyone's references. All right, so hello and welcome. This is Modality Systems' latest webinar, Manufacturing a Modern Workplace with Microsoft Teams. We'll be having some Q&A at the end, so feel free to post any questions in the chat and we'll get the relevant people to answer them as we crack on. Okay, so let's start off with some quick introductions. So my name's Gordon Edwards. I'm here from Modality Systems. I'm the account executive who is aligned to manufacturing, hospitality and retail. I've been working very closely with the guys here, both at Modality and at Microsoft, to help organizations through the turbulent last 12 months. I'm also joined today by Modality's MVP, Tom Arbuthnot, our solutions architect, as well as Andy Ford, the channel manager from ISDM Solutions, and Jeremy Lampard, head of solutions at ISDM Solutions. So just a quick overview of the agenda. Obviously, I'll cover off a quick who we are here at Modality, as well as providing you with an overview of how we've seen the impact of COVID and what that's had on the manufacturing sector in particular. We'll then be joined by, as mentioned, Modality's MVP and Microsoft Certified Master, Tom Arbuthnot, who will be providing us with the latest insights and some of the best functionality available with the Microsoft stack and how organizations have been using their unified communications platform to empower their workforce to drive success. And then we'll be fortunate enough to be joined by Andy Ford and Jeremy Lampard from ISDM Solutions, who are the leading provider of realware technology. So these guys will be taking us through and showing us how this innovative technology is helping to empower and enhance the first-line worker to optimize and improve efficiency at the workplace, all through that window of Microsoft Teams. So, who are Modality? So Modality started back in 2007 and throughout has maintained its heritage in that unified communication stack from OCS to Link through Skype for Business and Microsoft Teams. And obviously with Microsoft Teams now being that window to the world and through the rest of the Microsoft stack, we'll continue to evolve with Microsoft and our customers to now touching on the whole M365 stack and the Microsoft Cloud solutions. So, as mentioned, Modality has almost 14 years of experience working across all of the Microsoft technologies with over 1,000 different customers using our solutions worldwide. With over 11 gold accreditations, Modality Systems actually being the first global partner to achieve all 3 accreditations in Microsoft Teams earlier this year, actually surpassing over 1 million active users in Teams by our managed team. And we actually fall into one of the 1% of global Microsoft partners who can actually offer fast track support through Microsoft. Modality have achieved a lot of this success through what we call our 4-pillar approach, offering professional services, offering a wide range of skill sets to help deep dive understanding and smooth operations in deploying strategy and different work streams across the business, supported by a lifecycle management approach through our managed services to ensure ongoing adoption, maintenance, and obviously ensure that our customers' return on investment on their Microsoft investment continues to continue. And as well as that, Modality's Microsoft leading data-driven software helps to enhance functionality and effectiveness of the Microsoft product range. And finally, offering that bridging gap between all the other partners that come together to build that complex ecosystem for all of our customers. So how has it gone over the last 12 months? Well, to best understand how the pandemic's really affected manufacturing sector, especially in the IT world, we need to understand how that sector has actually viewed IT initially. And purely from our experience, the vast majority of discrete manufacturing historically has viewed IT as a bit of a means to an end, a necessary evil in order for the factory floor to actually go away and make the money for the business. A lot of organizations often adopting a if it's not broken, don't fix it approach. We found that manufacturing industry is lagged behind the curve when it comes to the adoption of cloud technologies, often prioritizing more on-premise legacy solutions as a safer place for sensitive manufacturing information. However, this perception almost changed dramatically overnight when COVID-19 became a global pandemic, forcing a lot of millions of office workers, administration staff, sales, marketing and procurement, all to suddenly having to work remotely, if at all. This huge impact of COVID really highlighted some of the shortcomings of the legacy on-premise solutions when it came to having a more agile and flexible workforce. A lack of communication and collaboration tools resulted in a huge impact to supply chain and operations. Government restrictions resulting in reduced headcounts on site and in factories meant that first-line workers were affected to a point where production was impacted through slow processes and processes. This completely changed the way the cogs of the manufacturing wheel all spoke to each other, and the way that manufacturing operated changed dramatically. Things needed to adapt. Forbes magazine were actually quoted saying that due to COVID-19, manufacturing will experience 5 years of innovation in the next 18 months. Now, for the majority of organizations, that innovation came through the evolution of their existing Microsoft investments, moving to more cloud-based applications and cloud-based data to unlock remote oversight, empower remote working, and improve processes and optimization. So to talk you through a bit more about what Microsoft can do in this space, I'd like you to talk you through some of those amazing features through the eye of Microsoft Teams. I'll pass you over to our MVP, Tom Bushmat.
Thanks, Gordon. You give me control, I'll drive, thank you. Yeah, so just going to take 5 or 10 minutes to talk about what Microsoft are offering specifically for the manufacturing space and where it can add some value. So yeah, Gordon's already done the intros, but been at Modality for just over 10 years, working with customers of all shapes and sizes, professional services, retail, of course, manufacturing. And I guess the most important thing is that each vertical and use case is very different. So we're targeting these webinars to try and say, here's the stuff that should be relevant for you in that space, but we'd love your feedback on what you think and what your challenges are, because we're always learning, of course. So 3 areas I'm going to talk about, and then we'll hand over to Andy and Jeremy, who have the really cool stuff to show and talk about. The manufacturing cloud that Microsoft are developing that's going to launch soon. They're doing a specific cloud for manufacturing. We're going to talk about first line worker empowerment. Obviously, first-line worker is a fairly generic term, but we'll talk about what that can mean in manufacturing. And secure modern collaboration. So looking at how manufacturing can use the tools both within the organisation, but also across the supply chain. And doing our research beforehand, that's one of the hot topics, is obviously with all the COVID disruption, with things like Brexit, there's lots going on in the world that's disrupting supply chain, and how do you use collaboration to try and mitigate some of that disruption? So first off, Microsoft Cloud for Manufacturing. So you may or may not have heard about this. So Microsoft are developing a number of industry-aligned clouds. And when they say cloud, they kind of mean a set of technologies aimed at solving specific industry problems. And this is really good news for all those industries, including manufacturing, because it basically means Microsoft have a team of people who are dedicated to understanding that vertical and trying to drive the right features, the right standards in the cloud for those requirements. So in the manufacturing cloud, they're going to be using the standards of the OPC Foundation, the Open Manufacturing Platform, and the Digital Twins Consortium. So hopefully some of those are familiar to you. Those are various standards used in the manufacturing space. And not all of those are related to specific technologies necessarily. They're more approaches and abilities that can be used across technology stacks. So the manufacturing cloud is going to be public preview by the end of June, so not long now. And if you'd like to know more about that, either it's worth talking to Microsoft, or Gordon can help you get introduced to the relevant account manager at Microsoft for your area. There are some preview programs going on in that space. Those are the standards, but what's the point of the manufacturing cloud? What are Microsoft trying to assist with? Well, they're driving to build more agile factories. Obviously, things are constantly changing. What's required in terms of manufacturing is no exception to that. So being able to quickly do runs to change how manufacturing is working, to build factories and spaces that can be agile to requirements is very key. Lots of IoT in that space, lots of wireless, lots of communication. Transforming the workforce, very important topic. Remote working obviously has been hot, so lots of remote working skills gap in terms of what is needed to be successful in modern manufacturing. Engaging customers in new ways. So product as a service is a really hot conversation, like moving from the idea to the prototype to the inception to the delivered product, working on combining manufacturing, supply chain and distribution to go straight from manufacturer to end consumer or end buyer is a really hot topic. More resilient supply chains. I don't think I need to say any more about that, bearing in mind what's going on in the world at the moment. But that's where using the communication technology, using Teams really comes into play. And the classic kind of marketing term, but I think it holds true, unlocking innovation, delivering new services, being more competitive on a global scale. Microsoft are aiming this cloud at supplying the functionality to let you achieve those goals. So zeroing in on more kind of practical and real world stuff, the first-line worker conversation is really important. For a long time in the Microsoft space, we've been very good at delivering knowledge worker tools, like desk-based tools. Microsoft are pushing really hard to make sure first-line worker is a first-party considered scenario. So having people on the manufacturing floor in the field have the right tools to do their job properly and to communicate seamlessly with the wider business. So culture and community always comes first. The people on your first line often are the most knowledgeable about what the real world requirements are, what the real world challenges are. So making sure there's an inclusive community, that knowledge doesn't get lost, but gets shared right across the organization is really important. Training and upskilling, you might have seen a lot of talk around Viva in the last few weeks from Microsoft. So making sure employees have access to training and upskilling knowledge and skills, and also from a health and safety and requirements standards point of view for training, that you're ticking all your boxes for that in a cost efficient way. Digitising business process. This is one of the areas where a lot of time can be saved if you get this right. So having processes that are all IoT driven, having inventory and supply chain communications, just-in-time delivery, all of those things leveraging technology. Real-time expertise. So I won't tread too much on Jeremy and Andy's toes, but connecting people across sites or across countries or across, again, different suppliers and partners in a real-time way that's useful to them is really important. And cost and risk, often a really hot topic in manufacturing because of the types of heavy industrial work or complex work or dangerous work that is done. Making sure that people have all the right standards in place and that you're minimising your risk and looking after your employees and your processes. So in practical terms, what that means is giving first-line workers the tools they need. So it could be Teams, it could be Yammer, it could be Viva, and giving them either the appropriate devices or on a bring your own device basis. It seems to be very popular in manufacturing to do bring your own device. So having a secure way to engage with the first-line workers where they may not be given a specific device, or having shared devices on the workforce floor, be able to be used on a per user profile. There's a whole lot around the first-line worker SKU in Microsoft that gives an amazing array of tools for a very cost-effective price comparative to the knowledge worker kind of SKUs. That can light up the scenario of every worker having Yammer, every worker having Teams, every worker having access to these important tools. Secure modern collaboration. This is the bread and butter of where Modality really lives with customers. So we do Modern Workplace, we do Microsoft Teams, and we've seen a big uptick in interest in manufacturing in this area. Again, obviously because of COVID, because of some of the challenges that have been bringing lots and lots of people into one place. So allowing people to collaborate efficiently and remotely on day-to-day tasks, but also communications in terms of designs and whiteboards and hooking up HD cameras to share prototypes. Things that were previously done a lot physically have had to flip to remote. And it's got to be efficient for the workers, and it's got to be secure. Working beyond your own organisation with supply chain, so Teams allows you to bring guests into your team, so you can all be in a single secure workspace, but you can bring in those suppliers, those partners, those customers, and work directly with them in a secure space, and not just for meetings, but for files, for chat, for collaboration, for line of business apps. They can all be accessed. And the number one topic we saw on research was around security. Like, obviously, there's lots and lots of IP in manufacturing. There's lots and lots of security considerations around designs and protecting IP. So making sure that sharing across the supply chain is done in a super secure, super compliant way is important. It's important to win those contracts with the key customers. It's important for the manufacturer can often be partly liable for some of that IP. So proving it's all being done in a secure, compliant way, even when people are doing bring your own device, for example, is really important. Where Modality has some software that we think adds value in this space is our Teamwork Analytics. And this is software where we pull all the usage information, all the governance information and performance information out of Microsoft Graph. So that's an API that gives us access to that information. And talking about security, this is all done on the customer's tenant. So Modality don't pull and host this data. We can deploy it on your tenant completely under your control. We then use that data in a couple of ways. We do automation from that. So we can ping people direct messages in Teams, be that best practice around adoption, be that reminders about governance and following standards. For example, you've added a guest to this team, a reminder you're responsible for the data they can see, or this team hasn't been used in X days, it might be time to archive this team. And from a performance point of view, letting users know if they're having a good experience and how to improve that experience. So if they're working from remote locations with poor Wi-Fi, maybe we need to advise them, hey, you're having a poor experience consistently, you might be better PSEN dialing into this meeting, or hey, you're not using a certified headset, please consider using a proper headset for best experience. So this can all be deployed in your tenant and all be run through automation. And if you're going to make the investment in changing the way your organization works in terms of collaboration, and particularly if you're trying to drive competitiveness along your customer chain, your supply chain, we think this can add some real value in terms of maximizing your investment in Microsoft. I've been keeping an eye on the questions as we go, but I'll look through them as well after this session. But I'll now hand over to Andy and Jeremy, who are going to talk to what I think is the most exciting bit of this webinar for me, some of the awesome technologies around RealWare and how that can bring collaboration to the manufacturing sector. Over to you, Andy.
Thanks, Tom. Good to meet everybody. Hopefully we'll be able to show you some really exciting technology today. So the key piece is that the platform is everything, and the work that Modality can do around Microsoft Teams is absolutely important. But with the prevalence of Teams during the lockdown, we've worked together on a few projects in the past, and Modality had reached out to ISDM just to explain a little bit more about the hardware. So ISDM are a specialist in collaboration technologies. We've been going since 2012. We have offices in Northern Ireland, Yorkshire, Cambridgeshire, Washington DC and Singapore. So we are able to provide a global reach, and we're really able to help with new technology. Principally today, we're going to be talking about the RealWare headset, which is a head-mounted tablet. So you'll see us talk about HMTs. It's very sci-fi, but really, really simple to use and voice activated. One of the limitations that we are facing for a Microsoft Teams live event today is that the mobile devices aren't allowed to present or join the live event. So actually we've recorded a video and we'll run through that in a bit more detail in a moment. I'm the channel manager at ISDM, so we'll be there to work with the team at Modality should you have any queries regarding hardware. And I'm quickly going to introduce my colleague, Jeremy Lampard, who is Head of Solutions at ISDM. And he's going to run through a quick overview of where the technology is placed. I'll then quickly give you a list on the features of the headsets. Then we'll run through a recorded demo, as I say, because we can't do a live in the live event, Teams live event. But absolutely, if you want to see a real world example, just contact the Modality team or us direct, and we'll organise a Teams call and you'll be able to see a live experience. So Jay, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and move into the next slide?
Yeah, sure. So nice to meet you, everyone. Jeremy Lampard, Head of Solutions, and we are the team within ISDM. We work with, as it says on the tin, really, all the solutions that are required for your companies. We deal with lots of consultation around Microsoft at the moment. Microsoft Teams especially is kind of our bread and butter, the part of work that we are helping everyone out on, and we, as well as doing all the Microsoft Teams rooms parts, we've been focusing on the last couple of years on what we call the remote experts piece or frontline piece. So what I'm going to do is just quickly take you on the journey here. So obviously we need to make sure that a back office engineer can get to a site. In the world of COVID, we've got a bit of a problem where we can't get to site. Also though, when we're looking at rigs, when we're looking at offices which are out there, I don't know, a little bit more difficult to access, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort for people to get to those sites. We need to make sure that they're supported, and we need to make sure that hardware is supported and problems are solved, and downtime, isn't going to cost you lots of money. Yes, absolutely. There are lots of people solving these problems by dialing with Microsoft Teams over a handset or with a laptop. However, it's clunky, it's wobbly, it's very, very difficult, very loud environments. It's not always health and safety compliant. And also there's lots of other issues which I can kind of go into a little bit more detail. And these are all the things that come together that RealWare has really helped to solve an issue, really. So we've got a back office engineer here. Heavy equipment repair isn't required, and then we've had a worker on the field who actually needs to make sure that they're the hands-on people responsible for putting that together and very easily actionable by getting someone to dial into a Microsoft Teams meeting via the headwear. So we'll look at the hardware in a moment, but effectively, look, here's some real easy use cases for remote workflow of a remote expert. We've got a remote mentor, that's what it says. You have someone who's very easily able to see everything that the engineer is looking at just by putting on the headset, able to talk to them. They can hear what the engineer is saying, and they can take them through the problem solving effectively, or it could be provisioning. Just very quickly, we are only 2 weeks ago, we internally use this product quite a bit because of COVID restrictions. We had to do a factory acceptance test for one of our big rollouts for lots of racks. So we also sent a real headset down to site, and we were able to have other people, to restrict the amount of people on the site, have their kind of, third hands-on experience with showing how the product is set up. Digital workflow is something that's also really important, not so much within the Microsoft Teams estate, except still with sharing documentation and chat and all those features. Taking people through the workflow of how to set up and troubleshoot equipment is important. Document navigation is something that's really important within Microsoft Teams. We do this all the time by sharing content in, zooming in on it, and it's available within the IP, so you've got your hands free, and you can do whatever work you need to do, and it's nice and simple. The last thing you want to be doing is crouching over with a laptop on the floor, trying to scroll in while you also got a screwdriver in one hand, and you're causing a trip hazard, and yeah, all sorts of mitigating factors that RealWear can get you around. And training videos as well. The amount of times that we've managed to just put the RealWear headset on, open a Microsoft Teams meeting, say start recording, and then we've been able to kind of narrate and work our way through an issue like a rack build or something like that. That's all on the ISDM side, but obviously on an oil rig, you can appreciate the ROI on buying a RealWear headset when you've got a major outage. Instead of getting someone on a helicopter over to the rig, you can just quickly make sure the expert dials into the team. You can make sure that the headset is dialed into the Teams call as well, and then it can be guided through. Someone's just asked what licensing is required for these solutions with Teams. As long as you've got the headset, no licensing required, as long as you have Microsoft Teams on your estate, like an E3 or an E5 license or something like that. So yeah, absolutely. Andy, I'll let you talk about the hardware, and then we'll do a bit of a demo part. Is that all right?
Perfect. Thanks, Jay. Yes. So the RealWear headsets are available in two flavors. The baseline unit is the head mounting tablet 1. It's as the question just came in, effectively the headset is based on a Android mobile device processor. So once you've got it registered to your domain, and you effectively treat the device as any other mobile device, you'll be able to log in using your own Microsoft Teams license in the same way that you would on your phone or on your tablet. And then so long as you've got Wi-Fi or a hotspot, you're able to dial in via your phone hotspot, so long as you or on a Wi-Fi or mobile dongle to make sure that you've got internet connection, and then you're good to go. Bandwidth is obviously an issue, and again, that's why Teams is such a good platform to use, because it will allow bandwidth to be managed correctly. As I say, the head-mounted tablet 1 is effectively the base unit. It's completely ruggedized, very robust, resistance to drops. It's available with a number of different head straps, so that means that it can be held securely on your head. It will also fit to PPE, so it will fit to the kind of crash hats that are normally used in construction and working at height environments, and be able to clip into those. It's able to be used, it has excellent noise cancellation within the microphone, so it's able to be used in very loud environments, and you're also able to plug in headsets or earphones to make sure that if you are working at height, so for instance on a wind turbine or out at sea on a platform, having the headphones affixed gets rid of a lot of wind noise, and it enables you to be able to hear anybody you might be communicating with. They're also able to work at a variety of temperatures, so anywhere between -20 degrees Celsius and +50 degrees Celsius. So pretty much from tundra to desert, you're able to use these. They're IP66 rated, so they will survive. I don't really like the idea of this, but if you were out on a rig and there was a big wave, you'd be fine. It wouldn't last too long underwater, but you'd certainly be fine to be getting wet. And likewise, if you are working in a manufacturing environment with a high particulate level, they are resistant to this. The HMT1 has removable memory capability, and that's just done through a simple card, and you can change those between 64 gig and 256 gig. It also has a replaceable battery, so battery life on these would normally be around 8 to 10 hours continuous operation, but you can carry hot swappable batteries. The recharging can be done simply via a USB-C cable, but you're also able to put the hot swap batteries into a wall charger and leave them there. When you wear the headset, the screen effectively folds down, and you're able to train your dominant eye, which sounds really complicated, but effectively is as simple as forming a small triangle with your hands in front of your face and just looking through that triangle and seeing which eye the triangle moves. If you look at it with both eyes and then shut one eye and then shut the other eye, whichever eye enables the triangle to move is your less than dominant eye. So you always put the headset on the eye that the triangle doesn't move on. So, and when you've done that and you've positioned it correctly, effectively when you look at the screen, you'll see the equivalent of a 7-inch tablet screen in your eye line. Now, the advantages of the headset is that you're able to look at the screen without having to hold anything, so it's hands-free, obviously. The other key piece is that it's voice activated. So whilst you're looking at the screen, you're able to call up the apps and the menus in that, and basically scroll between them just using voice commands, as Jeremy will show in the demo in a moment. The second unit is called the HMT1Z1, and this the benefits of using the head-mounted tablets, as I've just explained there, enables hands-free operation. Where RealWear have an absolute differentiator against the rest of the market is that their units are ATEX Zone 1 and CSAC1 D1 environment certified. That basically means these are hazardous environment zones. ATEX Zone 1 enables the headsets to be used in hazardous environments that are still ventilated. So if you're on an oil rig or in a gas refinery, if you're in the open air, then absolutely these units can be used and are certified for safe usage. You're not able to use them inside a Zone 0 laboratory environment. So if there's an enclosed environment with explosive gases or explosive particulate, then you're not able to use them in enclosed spaces, but in open spaces you're able to do this. If you have clients that are in, for instance, the paper milling industries, the oil or gas industries, they'll know all about ATEX Zone 1. And again, you can get into contact with Modality or ISDM, and we'll be able to run through the kind of environments that these units can be used in. The HMT1Z1 is a fully sealed unit, so it's called the standards for these kind of units is called being intrinsically safe. Therefore, they're completely able to be used in explosive environments, i.e. all the electronics are completely sealed. So as you don't have hot swappable batteries because a battery connection by its very nature is capable of producing even the slightest spark, so isn't intrinsically safe. But the charging mechanism that you have for the 1Z1 comes as an intrinsically safe charging unit, and you're able to drop that in. Otherwise, the 1Z1 it operates in exactly the same way that the HMT1 does. It's just able to be used in those incredibly dangerous environments. So if you've got people working for those industries, please do let us know. Jay, back over to you. I'll let you move into the more vocational and probably sexier stuff of actually showing how it works.
Sure. Cheers. So obviously one of the other main use cases, like we say, I just thought I'd put this slide in. You can see there, it looks on the top right hand corner that you've got a very small little window there. But if you think about it, effectively, there is a very small format screen that's just in front of one of your eyes. it's then magnified into a certain space and sits within the eye space that Andy mentioned, and that gives you a really good opportunity to actually look at in-depth documentation, not only through a screen share from Zoom with a Zoom. However, with Microsoft Teams, you've got the ability as well to upload documents, and you can look at those locally on the device. So if someone shares a document to you, you can then effectively change your Zoom levels. You can move up, down, left, right, all from voice command. And that means that looking at schematics, looking at flow diagrams are all just easily accessible, and you've always got your hands free, and it's a really important use case. So yeah, this is where we would have normally done a plug-in and walk around demo into the call, but unfortunately, yeah, I did a little test the other day, and we greeted with a nice message to say coming soon, that the mobile devices will be working within Microsoft Teams events. Rest assured that it works really well in Microsoft Teams, as I'll show you in the demo. So what I did, I ran into the office the other day, which is we're actually building a new satellite office down in Cambridge. It's a bit of a building site, so please don't judge us on the mess, and also use a little bit of your imagination. But I'm in a huge server room rather than just a couple of units that I've propped up while we're trying to provision the network locally. But hopefully you'll be able to see this demo now.
Right, take my mask off. Hi everyone. We are just moving into a new office here at the moment, so I've just put on my little RealWear headset because I need some help. I've got my eyepiece here so I can see when I dial into a call for people to help me out. I've just taken a security camera off the ceiling, and you can see my RealWear headset there, and I've just put the camera on the floor. So I need to know where to plug it in, make sure I'm going in the right ports, and then actually, sign off that it's kind of configured and ready to go up on the wall. So what I'll do first, I'll dial into my Microsoft Teams call, which I've already set up. I could do a direct dial as well, but hopefully there's an expert online to help me out in the meeting. So my programs, Teams, page down, join, so I can see my meeting there, and hopefully Rob's on the call there.
Yeah, hi Jay.
Hello Rob, so you can hear me loud and clear. You can see everything that I'm seeing, okay, yeah?
I can, yep, I can see.
Okay, brilliant. So I've got a camera here. I'm just going to plug it in. I've just ran a patch cable from the server room.
Yep.
But I'm just going to plug it into the camera before it goes in the wall or anything.
Right, yep.
Just that. There we go. So that's plugged in. What do I need to do now?
Yeah, can I ask you to go to the new comms room where we'll find the switch, hopefully.
Absolutely. You can see my headset as well, hopefully. So I'm going to excuse the mess, everybody. We're still building the office, as you can see. I'm just going to move into this meeting room and down here. I'll put this camera down, and hopefully, sorry if you get dizzy there. Hopefully, then people can see what's happening. So I've got my headset on. Rob can see everything I'm seeing at the moment, yeah?
I can see the switch in front of you.
Excellent, okay. So I'll quickly take a bit of a photo first. Sorry, you okay, Rob?
Yep, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Great.
So first
great.
I'll quickly, well, you can see everything I'm seeing at the moment.
Yep, I can see the switch. So what I'll need you to do is to plug the cable into, I'll just double check the port. Yeah, we need it to go into port 2. So you'll see the bottom row, it's the far left. Yes, it's that one where your finger is now. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'll do, while you're just checking that's working, I'll go to Open Chat, take photo. Oh, it's a bit zoomed out. Zoom level 5. Take photo. Send message. So hopefully you've got some photo evidence there, Rob, of where it's plugged in. Return to meeting.
I can see that. So we've got a good log of that now.
Absolutely. Return to meeting. Okay, brilliant. So that's all kind of plugged in at the moment.
Yeah, I can see the ports come up on the monitoring system. So I'll just
share that into my eyepiece. Is that okay, Rob? So you can.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
See what's going on.
me share my screen.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing your shared screen now.
Okay, great. So you'll see port 2 is live
Yeah,
with
port 2's there, and that's live exactly to how it's showing on the front here. Brilliant, that's fine. PoE and everything. Yep, I can see you now showing me the status of the device as well.
Yeah, the camera is just booting up because obviously it didn't have any power a minute ago.
That's fine.
But once the screen refreshes, we should see the camera come up.
We'll give it some time. That's okay.
Yeah.
So this is really handy, the fact that I don't have any access to the back-end infrastructure, VPN or anything like that to get onto the network, but I'm just able to dial a expert, and they're able to kind of make sure the ports are configured properly for me, and they can get access to the device. We're still waiting for that camera to boot up at the moment, Rob.
We've got green light, so it should be on now.
Great. So I'm seeing that. You click on and I can see my PC output of that camera as well. That's great. Okay.
And there you go.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much then, Rob. That's all ready to go. So I'll unplug that and get the guys to screw that up on the wall. Okay, thanks very much then, Rob.
Well, thank you too. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay. Leave meeting.
Great, and that's the end of the call. Turn the device off, and that's one problem fixed. On to the next.
Andy, can I hand back over to you to talk about use cases?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jay. So this technology is being used RealWare themselves have been going for 3 or 4 years. We've been working with them at ISDM for at least 2 years. They've deployed thousands of these units, as I mentioned just before the video there. These are used quite widely in the oil and gas industries. As you can imagine, downtime there costs potentially thousands and thousands of dollars per minute. And as Jay mentioned, the return on investment of sending a headset out to a first-line worker in those kind of locations compared to getting an expert out there on a helicopter can be absolutely huge. Honeywell themselves found that as they were working in Microsoft environments already, the use of these headsets was actually going to enable them to move the whole team's collaboration experience onto the next level and into that first line environment. They deployed their HMT1s and HMT1Z1s to the hazardous areas, which enabled their first line workers, the people that are actually in the manufacturing environments, to reach out to experts and get that help that they might need immediately. It saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars in wasted travel time, in travel expenses, and also ensured that time to fix was improved and that the whole workflow experience was made more efficient. It's become even more prevalent during the COVID era that travel has become more difficult. So it has meant that the workflows are really being kept as efficient as possible in really difficult times. Honeywell have reported that they expect that their travel costs, once everybody does get back to normal, and we're told that it's going to happen soon, but they're expecting their travel costs overall to be reduced by 50% in their manufacturing sectors. And for a company of that size, you can imagine that's a huge amount of saving. So that's a specific name that we're able to put out there. There's a number of other people, a number of other clients that we're all working with that are looking at these in a variety of different sectors, from pharmaceutical, manufacturing. We're going to talk more about those other market sectors, I believe, in future webinars. So stay tuned for that. I just wanted to finish off on some other vocational examples that might be of use to users. Jeremy mentioned it at the top of the call. There's a real use case for actual customer support. So if you have a manufacturing client that's responsible for the use of heavy plant and is factoring them out to third-party users, then it enables field service calls to be greatly reduced. As Jeremy mentioned during the video there, we've actually used these to save our field engineers having to do too many jumps to and fro between customers, and actually deploying the headsets out to customers really does actually bring back the cost of investment very quickly. So if you are one case example, we work with a company that is responsible for the maintenance of hot chocolate machines in food manufacturing. They're able to deploy these alongside within the leasing agreement for the hardware itself, and actually leave them with the customer, so that whenever there is an issue, that customer can effectively jump on a Teams call with the service engineer and actually show them what's going wrong. The amount of times that they've been able to save driving from Yorkshire to Aberdeenshire to find that something hasn't been switched on or plugged in, it's already paid within about 3 or 4 calls. It makes sure it empowers the customers to become, if you like, field diagnostic teams. So they almost become your first line engineer anyway. So there's a massive saving to be made there. Just jump to the next one, Jay. The other more obvious piece that we kind of alluded to in that video is the remote assistance piece. This means that actually all of your first line engineers or workers can carry on with their day jobs, but when they're hitting situations that might be beyond their expertise, they're able to call up their colleagues or that expert to give them that remote assistance. That really rams home with those examples that we've mentioned about the oil industry, where actually downtime of some machines or some environments can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a minute. You want to get moving as quickly as possible, and actually jumping on a Teams call is the natural way to do this. We're all working in teams all of the time nowadays, and the ability to keep that workflow going while still working, and again still working hands-free, is really powerful. And then the final one that we wanted to draw people's attention to was the training piece. Jay mentioned that quite quickly, but I guess if you're in a situation where you have field-based or manufacturing-based staff, you want them to train, but you kind of want them to train on the job. We've got an example here for a food manufacturing site, again, where somebody in the crisp industry had created an incredible library of over 1,200 documents that were on the public drive for their organisation, and kind of felt that was a really good piece of work, and that gave everybody that was working for them all the training material that they needed. But of course, real world came in, and they realised that people just weren't looking at it. They were still either referring back to the battered printed instruction manuals that they had, or just simply trying to muddle through. They really didn't want that to happen. They started deploying the headsets, and that allowed them to push documents through to people that were asking direct questions. And you can do this simply through a chatbot. Again, it's all voice activated as well, so people can just find the documents that they need very easily and see them in situ. So, as I said at the start of our section, we'd be delighted to help. Please do reach out to us or to Modality Direct, and we'll be very happy to provide you with in the first instance with a Teams call so that we can give you a live demo. Apologies for the slight technical issues in posting the video through and a little bit earlier, but we'll make sure that that's within the recording that's sent out. But as I say, reach out to Modality, reach out to ISDM. We'd be very happy to give you more examples and get your proposals over so you can see the costs. Back over to you, Gordon.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, sorry about the slight glitch of that video, but obviously we'll do our best to get some recordings out to you following this recording. We've had a couple of questions come through, which we've been trying to answer as we go along, but if anyone has got any additional questions, please feel free to post them right now. I noticed one that we haven't got around to answering yet, probably a joint question for both you, Tom, and the ISDM guys, is that do these headsets work with enterprise voice Teams telephony as a standard headset would? I
can feel that. So at the moment, no, not exactly. It's you know, they're set up in terms of doing contacts and meetings within the video and audio calling within Microsoft Teams. However, I do believe, watch this space, because there will be some links through to the Microsoft Teams PSTN calling in the near future on that front.
The real power of the headset is to enable true video collaboration, and be it through documents, live video, and sharing real world pictorial examples of what the first line worker, the remote worker, might be experiencing, and then being able to share that remote expertise back to the first line worker to ensure that they can take advantage of people that might be on another continent but know exactly the solution that they're looking for to the problem that they face. So whilst telephony is incredibly important, and particularly in areas where bandwidth might be an issue, primarily it's a video tool first and foremost.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think the rest of the questions we've managed to cover off as we've been going in the chat. But if anyone else has any questions following this webinar who attended today, or any questions following watching the recording, as the guys have said, please feel free to reach out to us. I'll share the recording with everyone, so everyone will have my contact details on that, and look forward to taking it forward from there. But thank you very much for listening, and hope you all found it as informative as we did. Thank you.